La Biennale on Air. Welcome to La Biennale on Air, the official monthly podcast of La Biennale di Venezia. In under 30 minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of our 130-year-old institution, uncovering both well-known and hidden stories. You'll hear from remarkable guests across all our disciplines: art, architecture, cinema, dance, music, theatre, and the historical archive. To understand the present, we need to revisit the past, so we'll bring you exclusive gems from the collections of our historical archive. But we're also looking ahead, spotlighting fresh perspectives and new voices. And yes, there will be surprises along the way. Speaking of our archive's gems, this episode invites you to discover one of our favourites. We open with a tribute to Man Ray, marking an unmissable exhibition at our headquarters in Venice. February, of course, is a month of love, celebration and transformation. And in Venice, that can only mean one thing: Carnival. The Biennale Carnevale 2026 brought together art, education and sport in a vibrant dialogue with the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics. Curious to know more? Well, just wait till you hear which special guests took part. Then, after a brief stop in the pages of La Biennale di Venezia magazine, guided by the voice of dance legend Carolyn Carlson, we fully embrace the Valentine's Day mood with 3 love stories from the Venice International Film Festival. Whether you're coupled up or happily single, we're sure you'll enjoy them. This is La Biennale on Air, made with love.
What remains of an image as time passes? And what happens when an artist chooses not to photograph reality itself, but the way reality moves through us? If you'd like to find out, dear listeners, a new exhibition has just opened at Ca' Giustinian, the headquarters of La Biennale di Venezia. Man Ray, l'immagine ritrovata. On the 50th anniversary of Man Ray's death, this exhibition is not simply a historical reconstruction, but a vivid return to one of the most significant moments of the Biennale Arte 1976. On July 18th that year, during the Biennale Arte directed by Vittorio Grigotti, entitled Environment, Participation, Cultural Structures, the exhibition Man Ray, Testimony Through Photography, opened on the island of San Giorgio Maggiore. Curated by Janus, it went on to become one of the most visited exhibitions of that edition. Today, those 160 black and white reprints selected by Man Ray himself come back to life. They retrace the full arc of his photographic activity, from the early cliché vert of 1917 to his final images. Prints from original negatives, photographic reproductions, and materials drawn from books and catalogs come together to form a body of work that functions both as a retrospective and as an intellectual self-portrait. Now, 50 years after its first presentation, that celebrated exhibition is being shown once again, and for the first time in its entirety, by our historical archive, International Research Center for Contemporary Arts, not merely as a document, but as a work of art in its own right. Looking back at the documents of the time, and especially at the 1977 catalog, we read that Man Ray did not photograph life, but its interpretation, not reality itself, but the infinite ways in which reality is perceived. His oeuvre appears as a single image unfolding over time, a continuous displacement, a perpetual flight, in which the image cancels and recreates itself through a technique that is both rigorous and magical. Man Ray did not photograph battles or revolutions. Above all, he photographed himself, through fleeting images captured in the most hidden corners of consciousness. Perhaps this is what precisely makes this exhibition so relevant today: the opportunity to encounter his gaze in an authentic and complete form, and to offer new generations of scholars and researchers the chance to rediscover not only an artist, but a radically different way of thinking about the image. Because Man Ray's photographs did not simply appear before us, they continue to transform, and in doing so, they transformed the way we see. So, with spring approaching, what better reason to come to Venice? And while we wait for the next Biennale Arte to begin, this is a rare opportunity to visit a truly unique exhibition, open until the end of November. But before we move on, let's pause a moment to highlight another side of this great 20th century artist. Not everyone knows that Man Ray did not just make waves in photography and visual arts, he also ventured in the world of cinema, experimenting with bold avant-garde films that were far ahead of their time. To tell us more, we hand over the microphone to Denis Brotto, Associate Professor and Lecturer in Cinema and Visual Culture at the University of Padua.
Man Ray is one of the 20th century's great visual innovators. He was an extraordinary artist, a sculptor, an outstanding portrait photographer. He photographed hundreds of writers, dancers, and artists he met in Paris, New York, Hollywood. He was also a director, deeply connected to the avant-garde movements, in particular to Dada and Surrealism. His first film, Le Retour à la Raison, was made in 1923, and in less than 3 minutes, Man Ray created a kaleidoscope of mists, swirling vortices, drifting ash, and flickering impressions. On the celluloid, we can see pulsating lights, small metal tacks, ready-mades, parts of Kiki de Montparnasse's body, the artist's model par excellence, and then rheographs, the cameraless photographs developed by Man Ray. The result is a magmatic composition made of matter, chaos, and a rejection of form. Le Retour à la Raison is considered one of the first Dada films and was first screened during the Cora Barbe event at Théâtre Michel in Paris. Later, it was also screened at the Venice Film Festival. It was presented in 4 different editions of the festival, first in 1953 for the retrospective of French cinema, and then in 3 other editions until 1978 for the exhibition on the art of nature. In 1924, Man Ray took part in another landmark film, A Manifesto of Surrealism, directed by René Clair. Entr'acte features some of the greatest artists of avant-garde movements, including Marcel Duchamp, Francis Picabia, and Eric Satie, all together in a film made of slow motion, accelerations, jumps, and explosions. Starting in 1938, Entr'acte was presented at the Venice Film Festival in 6 different editions until 1983. This film is an example of pure cinema, a visual symphony, but above all, a work based on the idea of discontinuity, nonsense, and arbitrariness, in which the dimension of play becomes central. Not by chance, Man Ray and Marcel Duchamp bring to life one of the most unforgettable chess matches in the history of cinema. On the rooftops of Paris, the chessboard seems destined to dissolve into a reality suspended in chaos, while the 2 artists gaze over the city, imagining how to disrupt the world through their art.
February in Venice means one thing: pure carnival magic. Masks before the first espresso, confetti in your pockets, music echoing along the canals, and suddenly the city becomes a stage where anyone can be anyone and anything feels possible. This year, Carnival sparkled with Olympic energy. As Italy hosts the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Winter Games, from the 7th to the 15th of February, the 17th International Kids Carnival transformed Ca' Giustinian into a house of creativity. During the program was the Olympic Museum of Lausanne, alongside 3 Olympic and Paralympic athletes, all artists at heart, who led children and families through workshops where art, sport, and imagination came together. Because the real victory lies not on the podium, but in discovering how the values of sport extend far beyond it. For this occasion, we caught up with the three Olympian artists, Slaven Dizdarević, Simone Barlaam, and Zeina Rashid, to explore what happens when elite performance meets fearless creativity. Slaven, what inspired you to bring sport and art together? And where have you seen this fusion unlock something unexpected?
I started as an artist when I was small. I won a national competition when I was 14. It was called Universe Through Children's Eyes. And I found that space very meditative to paint, focus. It was kind of therapeutical for me. So I started already. And so what inspired me, I think I had already that inspiration inside of myself. I just need to find a channel. So a lot came with art. So I was able to process some things from my childhood, express myself, and it was just something magic to be able to paint and see something that goes through you, and you don't have a feeling like, oh, I did this. You're like, oh, this has been done through me, the piece of art or anything. So this is how it started, and this is where I get a wave of inspiration. But the body is itself, for me, is a piece of art, the human body. And you can, by doing sports, you are actually shaping your body. And many times you look, oh, he must be a swimmer. Oh, she must be an athlete. Oh, or a gymnast. And you can see the body already became a piece of art. So this is something in unexpected ways. The body is a piece of art. So I always say every athlete is an artist just by doing what they do, by using their body.
If both art and sport are rooted in the human body and lived experience, Simone, how can art help turn challenges into strengths? And, like sport, how can it pass on core values such as respect, equality, and determination to younger generations?
Well, I think both sports and art obviously require a big amount of creativity, lots of work, lots of practice. Creativity because you need to find different approaches to keep innovating yourself, to keep improving yourself, and both sports and arts have an incredible power on kids, but not only on kids, to live the moment. It's something where you're not like you're present, because even in sport you cannot have, especially with swimming, for example, your phone with you, and you're forced to live in the moment. And they teach so many important values without even with ease. It's easy to learn these values through sport because you have fun, and it's the same thing through art and creativity. So it's way easier to teach kids the value of inclusion, respect, fair play through a game, through sport, through arts, rather than explaining to them by words and explain the whole concept. And also about learning about Paralympic sports, so sports for people with disability. It's super easy to do with by drawing or playing with colors, and that's why I'm doing these creative workshops, because I think it's easier for kids to learn about Paralympic sport, to be more interested if everything starts from something that they enjoy doing.
Art and sport often teach valuable lessons through play. So, Zeina, what becomes possible when we let go of the burden of perfection, especially for children and young people? And how can creativity in sport nurture a joyful, courageous form of excellence, one that celebrates effort, determination, and each person's unique contribution?
I think that if we try to shift the focus on the journey and the process rather than just the goal, I think it's a much healthier and helpful way to view the world, and you start to enjoy it more because you're not only focused on the outcome. So this is again one of the things we try to talk about during these workshops, and I think the kids were really engaged because I tried to share with them that it's not about failure, but it's about your response to failure. It's about showing up every day, and that takes courage because it can get boring, it can get tiring, it can all of these things. But if you just commit to the daily work, and sometimes you're not in the mood to practice, or you're not in the mood to paint. But it's once you hold the brush, once you start training, is when you get into the zone. And once you find comfort and joy in the zone, is when I think you start to excel. So it's a focus on the journey and focus on the experiences along the way, rather than just the outcome itself.
Thank you, Slaven, Simone and Zeina, for reminding us that magic begins the moment we dare. Dare to create, dare to play, dare to try. The Olympic spirit isn't measured in medals. It lives in the spark of curiosity, the leap of courage, and the relentless, beautiful bravery of starting again and again and again. On the canvas, on the field, in life.
Speaking of creation and daring, we met the choreographer and the water lady of the dance world, Carolyn Carlson, artistic director of the International Festival of Contemporary Dance from 1999 to 2002, and recipient of the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement in 2006. She shared a reflection on her article, Writings on Water, published in the first issue of La Biennale di Venezia Magazine, Diluvi prossimi venturi, The Coming Floods, exploring her deep relationship with a sacred and vital element, water.
Halos of madness and a primal wildness of expression. Dance the dance, where instinct lives between the visible and invisible perceptions, imagination, and creative acts since the beginning of time, leaving traces of existence. The art of dance, naked in time, space, and motion. Ephemeral acts where each moment is for the first time and the last time. A risk of leaping beyond oneself. Unconscious dreams of mystery, sensuality, and the beauty in motion with rivers, streams, and oceans. Spiritual keys of inspiration. Waters that never sleep. A presence comparable to writings on water. Timelessness, they carry memory into the flow of currents where no language can be told. Disappearing and remembered. Remembered. The lagoons and canals that water the worlds of Venice. Treading through the Acqua Alta to reach Teatro La Fenice, Teatro Malibran, Teatro Goldoni. Boats travel on rocking waves, carrying us to Teatro Verdi, Isola San Giorgio, and the Academy, Isola Danza. Walking over bridges of stairs for the Arsenale. Destination, La Biennale de Venezia. A journey of years that become indelible memories that remain infinite wonders of grace and gratitude. Notes from a water lady.
Carolyn Carlson's delicate yet profound work has inspired generations of dancers and artists. During the launch of the Biennale Danza, she founded Isola Danza, La Biennale's first dance academy, offering young dancers the opportunity to work with her and with leading international choreographers. Sharing knowledge and building connections is one of the most powerful ways to create art, and this approach continues to inform our college program. Sara Orselli, dancer and performer, knows this well. She was among the students selected for the Academy Isola Danza in 1999, a moment that marked a turning point in her life. After meeting Carolyn Carlson, she went on to become her artistic assistant in 2006. Here's her experience.
I had the chance to be part of the Academy Isola Danza, directed by Carolyn Carlson on the first year, the 1999. It was a great experience for me and for all the 25 students selected after 3 days of audition. For me, it was revolutionary for the dance world. The possibility to attend for free an academy of such prestigious institution, La Biennale di Venezia. It was an amazing time. Imagine 4 years, all day, full of creativity and sharing. We could dance and practice all day, technique, improvisation, and composition, exploring different techniques in contemporary dance, and touching many different ways to express with the body. We studied with many teachers, choreographers, and masters. Carolyn Carlson, of course, and also, for example, the master of Buto dance, Kazuono. People were crying during his class. That was an honor and a gift as a life experience. Carolyn organized also many events and shows during the Biennale exposition. And after the first year of the Academy, she created also the company of the Biennale of Venice. It was an amazing experience, and we had the feeling that it was a first try of all this. We knew somehow that we were living something never done before in the name of dance.
February is the most romantic month of the year, the month of Valentine's Day. And when it comes to love stories, cinema has always known exactly where to look. Sometimes gently, sometimes boldly, it has captured love in all its forms, moods, and contradictions. The Venice International Film Festival has been there every step of the way, gathering these emotions as they shift and change over time. So today, we'd like to share 3 films that remind us just how powerful and moving cinematic love stories can be. At times, they've even moved the whole Lido to tears. We start with Lost in Translation, the film that firmly established Sofia Coppola's unmistakable voice. It premiered in 2003 in the Upstream section, now Orizzonti, and turned a young Scarlett Johansson into a star, while giving Bill Murray one of his most iconic roles. It's a soft, intimate story about 2 lost souls who form an unexpected bond far from home. A film about loneliness, connection, and the kind of affection that quietly gets under your skin. Then comes Brokeback Mountain, directed by Ang Lee, winner of the Golden Lion in 2005. With breathtaking performances by Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, the film tells a queer love story that changed cinema forever. Tender, painful, and deeply human, it showed the courage it takes to love, even when the world says you shouldn't. At the Venice press conference, Ang Lee reflected on our timeless desire to be carried away by romance.
When it comes to love, absolutely, there's no difference for me whether I love my wife or love another guy. I think affection is the same. And being homosexual in that particular setup, in that particular time, make it more poignant, make it more difficult, and therefore more romantic, so to speak. Would you willing to take that fall? I do have a romantic feelings toward not necessarily my wife or my personal experience in making movies. I'm passionate about those guys. I think we all have that urge to be romantic, to fall into the dark side where we don't know what it is. Something we're not brave enough to yell out. We love it. For example, freedom. I love the Pope. Whatever. Something agreeable. To me, that's Brokeback Mountain. That's yearning. That's really universal.
And finally, our third pick takes love off the beaten path. Silent Friend, the latest film by Ildiko Enyedi, premiered at the Biennale Cinema 2025 and is now in cinemas. Winner of the Marcello Mastroianni Award for Best Young Actress for Luna Vedler, the film weaves together 3 stories set in different eras, all connected by one central idea, that love reaches beyond time, beyond human relationships, and into the natural world itself. As Tony Leung Chiu-wai, one of the film's protagonists, shared at the press conference, the experience changed the way he looks at nature, turning love into something almost spiritual.
Before, I see plants as plants. But after I study the books, I feel that I go to jog every day on the top of the mountain, and I have a strange feelings about the trees after I study them. I feel they have a soul or a mind, or you call it Umwelt or whatever. But I just have this kind of strange feelings that I suddenly think all living beings are equal.
So, this February, whether you're watching alone or together, we invite you to discover or rediscover these films. Because love, like cinema, is never predictable and always worth the risk.
And that's a wrap on this month's creative joyride through Venice. From Man Ray's mind-bending brilliance to Olympian artists turning sweat into brushstrokes, who needs a gym when you can have a canvas? From Carolyn Carlson's fluid writings on water to love in all its messy, magnificent, occasionally melodramatic forms, we've been reminded that curiosity, courage, and a dash of mischief keep the world spinning. But hold on, the fun is far from over. Every week at Cinema Rossini, the 7th edition of the Classici Fuori Mostra film series keeps cinema magic alive, because great masterpieces never retire. They just demand encores. And the spotlight is soon to turn to the 61st International Art Exhibition in Minor Keys. Can't wait to dive into the world of the Biennale Arte 2026? Don't miss out. Early bird tickets and subscriptions are only available until March 31st. Grab yours now before it's too late. Of course, we haven't forgotten that this is the cultural news of the week, following the press conference presenting the exhibition's key details. You'll find everything you need on our website, from the full list of artists and national participants to plenty of behind-the-scenes insights and curiosities, all designed to help you arrive fully prepared for the opening in May. As we drift back into the lagoon mist, we hope the voices you've encountered stay with you, nudging, provoking, delighting. Maybe they'll spark a brave idea. Maybe they'll simply make you tilt your head and say, "Wait, what?" And really, that's the essence of La Biennale di Venezia. This is La Biennale on Air. Catch you later. A big ciao from Venice. La Biennale on Air is a podcast produced by La Biennale di Venezia. The voices you are hearing are those of Maddalena Vallecchi-Williams and
Adam Wadsworth.
mixing and audio editing are by C3 Tecnologie e Organizzazione SRL. The podcast is curated by the editorial activities and web office and the press office of La Biennale di Venezia. Cesare Bisantis, Valentina Campana, Claudia Gioia, Ornella Mugno, and Marta Zannoner.